Hi everyone, how are you doing? I hope everybody is holding up well with all of the intense energy. I'm not even talking about all the fear mongering and kind of the chaos that's happening just, from a 3D standpoint, but we have been absolutely inundated with 5D light energy coming in. And I know just this past week and a half, just since I recorded the last video, um, I've just had more of those experiences. I think I shared on here. I know I shared it in a post, but I've had more of those experiences where I'll be lying in bed at night and like it feels like the bed is vibrating and my cats start running around like crazy, hissing at each other. And I'm literally like my whole body's vibrating and I'll sleep through the whole night for 8 hours, which is not common for me. A lot of times I can get by with 6 hours of sleep and be fine and go all day, work out early and go all day and night. And I'm telling you, I mean, it's like last week, there were some nights, even I think there's one night a weekend I slept 10 hours. And I've not been sick, but there's been some, ascension flu symptoms coming in with that, like kind of waking up feeling feverish, um, feeling like stuffy. Like I have a little bit of a stuffiness going on right now, if you've noticed that a little bit. But then feeling fine. There's just a lot coming in, and when your body is struggling to process like this, I mean, literally, like I feel like we're being pummeled right now. Um, my cycle, as a female, your cycle may be completely thrown off. This happens a lot when these massive blasts of waves come in. You may, I mean, obviously go get checked out by your doctor, but I just know from my experience, like I'll be completely fine for several months, and then all this light comes in, and I won't have a cycle, or my body's just completely whacked out. You might have what's called Buddha belly developing. It's like I'm not. I mean, might be working out a little bit less just because there are some mornings that I've slept, but I mean, nothing to justify like the change. It's not even just like, oh, your clothes are a little bit tighter, you put on a little bit of weight. I mean, it literally like I look pregnant, like in my stomach. And unless there's immaculate conception happening, like I'm like I don't have to worry about that. But the Buddha belly is what it's called. You can Google it with Ascension, and why that happens is your body is struggling to ground itself when you're blasted with all of that energy coming in. So it's just a common phenomenon. I don't know that there's really much you can do about it. I know with my experiences over, when I first started going through my awakening in 2017, I definitely remember having this happen. And then it kind of like my body adjusted, but now we're just getting constantly pummeled. I mean, I feel like it's just nonstop. So just know that, obviously get some stuff checked out. I myself have started eating just not intentionally, but just my body is wanting lighter foods. And so even like chicken and turkey, sometimes I don't want it. I'm eating a lot of fruits and vegetables and just things that just don't have meat in them. And so I know I've got some anemia going on. I've started some liquid iron, and I'm probably will get a blood panel done here at some point. But definitely get yourself checked out. But know that if you're making these types of changes and you're feeling these energy symptoms coming in, it's just normal that your body's going to go through these changes. So let's see. I think like there was something else I was going to say to you guys about all of that. But just, yeah, I mean, trust your intuition. Definitely get checked out by a medical doctor, but understand that 99.9% of the medical doctors don't understand what's going on, and it's not part of their medical training. So maybe try to find a holistic practitioner who can supplement, who quote gets it, who can supplement traditional medicine. I think that's very wise to do. Just your body better than anybody, but sometimes this stuff I'm like, am I really tired because of the energy wave coming in, or am I really tired because I'm anemic? There's some nights I come home and I'll sleep for 2 hours. That happened one night last week. And I hadn't had like I'd slept okay through the night. But sometimes your sleep will be disrupted too. You'll wake up at 3 a.m. certain times. So just know that even though if you've been on this path for a long time, or if you're just starting out, these things are perfectly normal. Um, and just look at ascension and symptoms, but especially twin flames. If you're a twin flame, that subset of a soul connection, I know that we've absolutely been getting just pummeled the last couple of weeks. So that's been crazy. This full moon is March 9th, which I guess is Monday. So I wanted to go ahead and get a jump start on this video for you guys. And Virgo, the full moon is in Virgo. And I was just reading a little bit about it. I'm definitely not an astrologer, but Virgo, I believe, is the planet that's tied to or Mercury. I'm sorry, Mercury is the planet that's tied to Virgo. Okay. And obviously, Mercury is in retrograde right now. That's going to be transitioning out. I think it's going to start stationing direct within the next 10 days, maybe something like that. So the fact that we have the full moon in Virgo and then Mercury is associated with Virgo, it's just that energy is amplified. I'm hearing, the grounding. Maybe that's something that we really need to be doing because of the light coming in. Um, yeah, I think that's something that's for sure a good idea. I'm getting that there's a lot of things that once Mercury goes direct and with the amplified with the power of this full moon, it is a super moon. We're approaching the spring equinox. There's going to be a lot of things coming to light, things that were maybe hidden, things going on behind the scenes. I'm also, before, when I was getting ready and doing my makeup and whatnot to record this video, I just had this urge to turn on a song that I haven't listened to in quite a while on my journey, but it's one that's always been very special to me. It's the Thousand Years song by Christina Perri, I think is her name, from the Twilight movie. And the line that kind of came into me, kind of like the whole new world was the last few weeks, was one step closer. And so I think and we're going to see what comes out in the reading, but I think that's tied to just focusing on the progress. And if you're not seeing progress in your counterpart, you really need to focus on you. And I know we hear that, we get tired of hearing that. But if you can look within yourself and outside of yourself and your world and your reality and your demeanor, your emotions, if you're able to be detached from everything that's going on, with all the fear and things like that, in the world, and you're able to maintain that vibration of joy, you're engaging in more healthy patterns, you're setting boundaries, you've really just made a lot of growth and progress. Just trust and know that if you're soul bound to someone, especially if you're a twin flame, it's inevitable that change is going to come to that person. It's going to pull that person along. Okay. But that's not why you do those things. You do them for yourself. And ultimately, the more you do these things for initially, of course, all of us, you start out focusing on that other person to try to get that progress, to get that, to get to union with that person. And then you start to realize this is really about becoming in union with yourself. And you get to this point after so long, at least I have, that time is just, I don't know, it's like you're kind of in this detached state of surrender where your own life and the progress you've made is so profound, and you're truly happy with your, every aspect of your existence, that you're kind of like whatever comes in comes in. So that's really where we need to be. I've been getting like a lot of Two of Wands energy, like manifestation, things set in motion. So I think that's where the one step closer is, that there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that we don't know, we don't see, and we may not see that progress in our person, especially if you're in a separation, or you might just see them in passing and say hi. Whatever the situation is, if you're not in a dating relationship with them, or actively communicating, you're not going to see that progress. You're not going to know. So you just have to trust and know, the more you do for yourself, God, and you're not going to be left empty handed. And I know I've said this, and I know it seems that way sometimes. You just have to be open to an outcome with someone. It doesn't have to be a specific person. So, all right, I digress. I'll try to remember to timestamp this down below. I'm going to focus on the masculine energy first. Again, we all have masculine and feminine energy within us. So, but we're just going to see what's going on with the divine masculine energy. And what's going on with this full moon. The divine masculine collective. What's going on with the divine masculine collective? Alright, divine masculines. Oh yeah, that doesn't surprise me. That card. Yep. That's a good one. Beautiful. Oh my God, you guys. There's a lot of major arcana here. That's why, I'm saying that there's going to be spring equinox coming, Mercury going to, there's just one step closer. I mean, this is like, boom. Oh my, yeah. What did I just say? Oh, wow. Okay. Oh. Whew. All right. So where the masculines are right now, they're feeling like they've missed an opportunity. Four of Cups, they're in that Four of Cups energy. They're feeling like, because I said this, I think I alluded in one of my last videos, they're all kind of a blur, that, many of us saw incredible, amazing progress with, and I'm talking about the specific counterpart now, not, and I guess the energy within us, because there's a lot of mirroring, keep that in mind. Um, but I felt like around Leo season, there was just so much progress. There was like, man, these, I remember one of the readings, it's like, boom, they become a king. I mean, we had so much king energy coming out around that time, like August, September. There was just physical, tangible growth, not only that you could witness within them maturing, right, and into that role, but also within the connection. There were a lot of people that kind of came back together around that time. And it really seemed like things were gonna, be different. And then there was progress, right? There was progress, but it wasn't in the way that many, the feminines had wanted. So it seemed like there was a regression when we got into the fall, later in the fall, and it's just like, what the heck, where, we thought it was going this way. So many of us kind of, I think the masculines are kind of realizing like they were kind of stepping forward and kind of having their feet sort of in a little bit. And they realize that they got their divine feminine's hopes up, I think. And I think they feel like, they can sense they're getting more tuned to her energy. Even if they don't really know what it is, I think they're just picking up on the connection more and kind of thinking like, man, she's not going to put up with this anymore. Like she's fed up with me. Like I'm too immature for her. I've just really blown it. And that's kind of what I'm getting. But meanwhile, all that time, when things sort of seemed like they were regressing, I'm getting the sense right now it was, as we were entering Scorpio season and that Mercury retrograde, it was bringing up so much stuff. Like I know just with for myself, all the crazy past life stuff that happened, and I did the regression. It really forced us to go deep within not only this lifetime but prior lifetimes, and the setting of boundaries. There were so many tests with that, closing out cycles, um, the toxic patterns. Scorpio was brutal, and the energy through the rest of the year and somewhat into January and February was very brutal and heavy. But so it was kind of like, well, it looked like they were taking a step back. Well, no, I mean, us as the feminine counterpart had the masculine energy within us too that had to go back in and dig all that crap out and purge it for both, for the collective, for ourselves, and therefore for both aspects, in the physical realm. But I think, and I guess it's funny because this is the masculine reading, but I'm kind of feeling like this is really just the energy is so bonded right now. I feel like I can relate to both, right? So this may end up just turning into, I mean, we're going to see, I may not even need to pull another spread, honestly, because I'm picking up on both energies. But I feel like the feminine was at the kind of the end of a rope, kind of like they've blown it. They're never going to grow up. This is a regression. I'm the one doing the work. There was some of that. I mean, maybe not that negative, but just this frustration that, like, my God, like I thought by year end, we certainly, we're going to be in a much better place and there wouldn't be such a awkwardness in the connection, or there'd at least be more communication. Um, and it's just turned into this, like, but, it just turned into almost this, like, you feel like, God, strangers, right? And even I feel like somewhat too, there wasn't as much of there's been the 5D connection, but even that's kind of dwindled. But it's kind of like I haven't needed that and to tap into it. So I myself too, as a mirror, I think as the masculine side of me, have been really, really busy and shutting a lot of that energy off, and just like I don't need this, like, not focused on it. So I feel like both sides have kind of felt like, well, they've blown it. A lot of us, as the feminine aspect of us, is has been required to set boundaries. That also includes boundaries with our divine counterpart. And so, I know like after, towards year end, and it was really like, yeah, Scorpio season and that retrograde, that last retrograde, in 2000, last year in 2019. Um, it just like, I just was at the end of my rope, and I'm like, I'm not putting up with this behavior anymore. Like, if somebody is gonna initiate contact with me and then take 12 hours to respond, or say let's get together, and then not make a plan. I say, here's my availability. They take 12 hours to respond and don't even make a plan. It's just like that kind of stuff. Like, I would have clung to those crumbs, right? I would have clung to those crumbs a year ago. And now it's just like, I don't need this anymore. If this is what this is going to be, I'm moving on from it. Um, Eight of Cups. And so you just kind of feel like, what the hell happened? Like it definitely was like 2 steps forward, 20 steps back, right? So I feel like both counterparts actually, but especially the masculines, are feeling like they missed an opportunity. I'm feeling that so strongly. I know I just went like off the rails on one card, but and they're really afraid. So what's blocking them from getting out of that energy is the devil, which is all about ego. They're still, some of them are definitely starting to awaken, to at least not necessarily knowing, oh my God, wake up one day and it's like, they're my twin soul and I know what this means. But it's more of just realizing that there's something here as to why they keep coming back to this particular woman, this person, or it could be a man, just take it, him, her, how it resonates, but why they can't shake this person, why they keep getting. I think they're getting a lot of signs and synchronicities, and they're just like, and sometimes I think like they can't shake them and they don't know why. Um, so I think there's a lot of that going on where they're just kind of like, and I know I even was guilty of this myself. I was getting all like bombarded with messages this week. I'm like, I'm not listening to this. I'm not going to contact this person. La 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 la. Like, I'm very much an ego. Like, I'm not doing this. And it was like, no, you're gonna do this. And so I think both counterparts are getting kind of, were very much in their ego, just feeling like it's gotten to this point where you're just exhausted, you're tired, you're in that 10 of Wands, burdened energy. And it's like thinking like, I feel like too with the feminines who have been, not to say that both counterparts haven't been doing their work, but they've been awakened longer. They've been aware of this, like kind of know that they're working towards something here, right? Um, they're just kind of like, I'm at this point where I'm happy with myself. I've done all this work. I've grown. I'm ready for my counterpart. I'm ready for my king. I want my king. I don't want this nonsense anymore. These crumbs, this Joker energy. And I think, the masculine senses it. And so again, it's just like both partners are just like, they just, they feel like too, I think the masculines have, still get triggered, and they get triggered in different ways than we do, right? We get the female, actual, female gender, they get triggered by, spending, like the masculine not wanting to spend time with them. But what they don't understand a lot of times is that the masculine does want to spend time with them, but doing so brings up all of these horrible feelings and they don't know why. Right? They feel anxious, they feel inadequate, they feel unworthy, they feel uncomfortable, they feel like all these just things that they don't want to face. It's staring them right in the face, and they don't understand why. Like, they really like this person, they like me, but then they want, so they want to come forward, they want to spend time with them, and then they're like, oh my God, here it is again, I feel this horrible, and they're like, I have to get away from this. So that's a lot of the reason why they ghost, is it's just too overwhelming. So I think they're tired. The masculines, I think, are like sad about the connection kind of falling apart, but at the same time, they're just like tired of getting triggered, and they're not wanting to face these things. So I think what's been happening is like the way I was bombarded this week to get out of my ego, right? My fear, whatever it was. It wasn't really fear. It was just kind of like ego. Like, I'm not doing this anymore. And the universe is like, yes, you are. um, so I think we were definitely at a point with all this heavy energy and stuff coming up. It was just like too hard. It's like, I'm ready to move on from this. So that's where I think kind of both counterparts have been, but especially the masculines. Again, I think there's been a lot of manifesting going on, especially with the feminines, but I think the masculines, is we've got the magician here. So we've got another major arcana. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 major arcana. So I think the masculines, what I'm sensing is they're not coming out right and saying like the feminines are, affirmations. Maybe they are. I mean, maybe they're a little bit more involved in their journey. They're aware of that type of thing. But I think it's just they're changing their mindset, and they're maybe noticing how things are starting to go their way if they focus on certain things. Maybe it's, hey, I'm gonna cut back drinking. Maybe they're starting to engage in health, better, healthier patterns and habits, and maybe just they're starting to see how they can shape their reality, and they do have the power. I think for a long time the masculines were feeling very much out of control, powerless to change their circumstances, especially because so many of them were incarnated into horrific, abusive situations, terrible situations where they just felt like they weren't worthy of anything, they couldn't become anything, and they had no control over any of it. And I think that's where they kind of are stepping in. And the feminines, meanwhile, they're very much mirroring that, because they're definitely have been picking up that sword and cutting away toxic things for quite a while. So there's been this just lighter, stuff kind of ushering in, I feel like, in March. I do feel like even though we've been bombarded with this light, I think it's more of just the physical body. At least for me, that's what it's been. I've noticing already just my skin, even in the last week. Now, maybe it's the hot yoga that I'm doing, maybe because it's, maybe it's that it's detoxing some things, but I just feel like my skin is glowing more. I'm seeing, even more noticeable, like in less lighting, if you're on this is, Ascension, we are developing a crystalline light body. I've talked about that before. I can literally, in the sunlight, look at my palms and there's glitter like in my skin. And it's not, at the first time I noticed it, I thought, oh, I must have like got makeup, something on my hands, and I kept washing my hands. There was nothing. It's literally your skin starts to look crystalline, and it reflects the light. It's absolutely mind blowing. I'm like, is this a sci-fi movie? But so what I was saying earlier, everything is, what was the song lyric? I'm totally one step closer. Everything, even though it seemed like it was 20 steps back, right? We were making all this progress in Leo season. It had to, there was, probably for many of you, maybe a big trigger that happened. I know for me, it did in August. A big trigger, a major trigger, like when you maybe got together with this person, or you were supposed to get together and didn't, or you got together and it was beautiful, and there were promises made and then they were broken. There was a lot of that happened to my friends. My case, no promises were made, but it's just, I was very much triggered by some stuff, but it was all perfect, and there's so much healing and so much growth. I've made more growth and progress within myself in my journey since that happened, since the last time that that event happened, that I have in my entire journey. And just in 2020 alone, I feel like was all of last year. So you've got to focus on that there was no reason of regrets. And there was regression because we had to go back within ourselves and dig. It was kind of like this, everything's a cyclical, a spiral. Go back in and go through some of these things again until we got it this time. Okay. So for that reason, the connection had to pull back, because if many of us had continued to stay and develop like this closeness with this person, we never would have, been forced to face these things, or, we wouldn't have had, every single thing that happened. I'm just like, everything, no matter how frustrating it was at the time, it's brought growth, and it's bringing alignment. Okay. We've got the star here, universal alignment. That's the current energy right now, guys. So coming in with this full moon, this is about healing. It's 17. We have a 7 here, a 7, so we've got 717. It's not the Chariot, unfortunately, but we'll get to that in a minute. It's not the 7 of Swords, so that's good. But Star, the universal alignment, healing, destiny. I mean, I feel like too with this is like a sliver of a moon. I feel like between this, yeah, because this full moon's the 9th. We have, I believe, the spring equinox right prior to the next new moon. I think it's how the order of events goes. But I think there's just going to be so much that happens this month. There really is. And you're going to, I think, start to realize, if you haven't already, why so much of the stuff has happened the way it has. And if you can focus on that perspective and not have regrets, not have blame, okay, don't not have blame, look at things from that person's standpoint, understanding, if you're the feminine and they're the masculine dominant, they're the runner, in the dynamic, understanding why they ran, right? The example I gave earlier, that they're drawn to you like crazy, but then when you're together, it's so triggering to them. It's just, it brings up so much stuff that they don't want to deal with, and they don't understand why they feel this way. So it's just shifting that mindset to one of just gratitude, joy, and understanding why it's all going down the way it is. So I think, the feminines at one point, I think both parties were kind of wanting to move on from this connection, but I think now they're at this point where at least the masculine is evolving. For me, in this deck, the Twin Flame Journey Tarot is what I'm using. If I didn't say it earlier, 8 of Cups, evolving. This to me is an awakening card in this deck. There's a masculine here standing at the vastness, staring at the vastness of the cosmos. I mean, this is just, I think, the feminine is at the point where she's evolved so much. She's really kind of moved on from this connection in many cases, to the point where she doesn't need it anymore. That's where I was kind of like, la la la, like, I'm not listening to this. I'm done with this. I don't need this. I'm not going to seek this out. I'm not going to, but there's bigger things going on, and if you signed up for this, you signed up for this. But it's, evolving. I think the feminines are at the point where they've evolved and moved on from the need to have an outcome with a specific person. And I think the complete surrender and detachment to the old life, and the fact that the feminine energy is anchoring the 5D so strongly right now, that is the masculines. It's kind of like, that alchemical reaction. It's like, whoa. And they've already been slowly like on this progress, like as far as seeing the signs, seeing the synchronicities. Again, they're very much still stuck in their ego. And I don't mean ego in a negative connotation. I mean their fears. I mean their doubts, their fears, all those, that type of energy. They're not good enough. They don't feel cut out for this. They're kind of just trying not to believe a lot of it. But they are moving towards it, is definitely what I'm getting. And you guys, it's so critical. I mean, I'm getting that the divine feminine is the driving force here. The energy that is awakened, just stepping into that power, the manifestation, keeping your vibration high. Again, not blaming them. Excuse me, I'm getting my throat. Okay, so that's, I had crazy stuff happen with like major signs about communication, right? Blue feathers, bluebirds. I mean, I was just bombarded, and it was constant. And so this is my throat chakra going crazy. So I think what they're trying to say is, the feminines, if you're at a stalemate with this person, you haven't talked in a long time, and you're expecting them to ride it on their horse, like they're going to awaken, they're going to just call you up or text you and say, I realize everything now, I'm ready. Like, it's not going to happen. Everybody's journey is different, but what I'm getting is, again, the feminine is the driving energy here. This does not mean you chase someone. You still set boundaries, but don't be afraid if you're getting the calling to do so. If you're being nudged, step out of your ego and be the one to extend an olive branch, just to say hi, just to check in, just to let them know you're thinking about them. No expectations of a conversation, of any of that. Because I think, he's, he being the masculines are, they realize that we're not putting, this, we don't want crumbs anymore. And, until they're ready, they're not, there's probably going to be very little, it might still be at a stalemate, but at least you can reset the connection. Because if you've left things in a, maybe, where you were fed up with the crumbs and you ended up ghosting them, they're in that situation, they're not going to feel comfortable, especially they're not going to feel comfortable reinitiating contact, especially in this devil missed opportunity energy and knowing, like feeling like they blew it. Okay, so that's really what I'm getting where they are. But yeah, the action forward, I mean, this is the divine feminine, the Empress. And again, I know I pulled this is for the masculine. It's kind of turned into the shared energies, because they're so blended right now. They're so, it's just, if you've been to, it should resonate to where you're picking up on aspects of both. You're seeing the mirroring, you're understanding their point of view. I'm realizing so much where I was in ego this week and I was like, I'm ignoring the signs. I'm not doing, blah, blah, like they have to come to me. And it's like, no, like you've got to just trust your intuition. And if you are supposed to be, doing something a certain way, on this path, you're going to be guided and you should not ignore that. But this is, this Empress creative energy. And guess what month we're in? We're in the third month of the year, number 3. This is the energy of the Trinity. This is just so many things. I think it's about just continuing to be in that creative, sacred feminine energy, stepping in your power, loving, compassionate, living from your heart, but not letting anybody walk all over you either. And what else was I getting? I was just lost it. There was something else coming in. And I was saying, let's see. Yeah, just standing in your truth, not being afraid to speak your truth. Just know that when you do come forward, again, I got a very strong message and that I was supposed to communicate, and I did, and it went, everything. I had very little. I just wanted to reset everything and be like, everything's cool. You may get some defensiveness from them because if they're not ready, they're not ready, right? And you just sense it's like, all right, they, the conversation doesn't really go anywhere. It's very friendly, but it doesn't go anywhere, or they take a long time to respond to you, or you just pick up on a, defensive-ness. You may get that because they're kind of like, oh my God, I thought I blew this. I thought this was done. It's been, 5 months since we've had a conversation and it's didn't end well. And whoa, I wasn't expecting this. So you may get some of that, defense mechanism, 7 of Wands. The masculine definitely still has their guard up, okay, because they're very much still got the fears, feeling unworthy, but there's a transition coming. We've got death here. This is kind of the energy that I think the feminines went through. That's why I was talking about it so strongly, I think, was the Scorpio season crap that was necessary, but it was rough. And I think the masculines are starting to undergo some of this right now. Think about it. We are in retrograde again, right? That makes sense. And we had 313, which is kind of like a mirroring card. Oh my God, I just looked at it was 33. But I think the masculines are kind of going through a lot of this now. And I think the fact that the feminines have just, like this year, really just stepped in their power, just cutting away all those things. It's really, don't be surprised. This is something that they're going to have to go through alone. They're probably going to be, they might even be angry. They might blame you. If you see, that because they might be getting all these signs and bombarded and they know it has something to do with you and they don't know why. Some of them, it might happen, and don't take abuse. This is not, that the twin flame, divinely guided, sacred partnership should never be abusive, right? They might trigger you, but they never intentionally hurt you. Okay, so there's a difference there. Don't ever accept that. So they may be defensive. They're going through a complete transition. I'm getting that very strongly this month. Breakthrough and awareness, epiphanies. We got Ace of Swords. It's difficult. Ace of Swords is a difficult new beginning because you guys remember going through awakenings and even like just the Scorpio season, knowing what was happening, how hard that was. Okay, so I think too the feminines are getting this. This is, I know, the Ace of Swords, but this is looks like the Two of Wands which is, I was stating earlier that I was definitely picking up on that very strongly. Things that are going on behind the scenes. I do think that that's happening now. The outcome for after this full moon is Two of Pentacles, balancing act. Now, sometimes this can be somebody who's kind of stuck. You know, it could be to me that this is like really the energies of the counterparts coming more into balance and alignment, because we do have universal alignment here as what they call it in this deck, the star. So there is some of that, I think, for sure. I think the masculines, some of the ones that are really hanging on, you know, and I didn't go down without a fight either. Trust me. That's why Scorpio season kicked my ass, because I was not willing to let go of the 3D, my 3D existence. I was just like, I'm going to just hang here and keep going out and doing all these things and go and party and not surrender. And you know, guys know what happened. You know, I felt literally like face planted on concrete and shattered my face. And that was like, okay, I'm done now. So you may have a masculine who is doing that, who is fighting and holding on to this, you know, kind of like dual existence. Like they might, you know, if they're in a karmic situation, or there's just patterns that they, you know, unhealthy things they shouldn't be doing. You may have that happen to where they're like really struggling to balance and try to, like, they're getting pulled, but they're getting pulled along. It's going to be, you know, this is a difficult process when you've got, boom, like you thought this was over. They're starting to realize it's faded. They're starting to awaken. They know it's tied to you. They're going to be defensive. Like I said, they'll have the guard up still, but they're going through a complete transformation, transition, breakthrough in awareness. This to me, I feel like is very much a strong, like, awakening, or at least awakening to the connection and realizing that this isn't done. And it's probably, you know, that this is, it's like this spiral. It's like, why does this keep coming back? Okay. So anyway, I know that was like really long. I want to pull some, but there was just a lot coming through, you guys. I just feel like this is really big. I mean, this is just, whew, there's a lot happening right now. It's amazing. So what was on the bottom of the deck? Look at this, you guys. Bottom of the deck, memories and reunion, Six of Cups. So, and that was for the masculine again, initially when I pulled the spread. So they want this. They want this. They're still in the energy of feeling like maybe they've missed the opportunity. It's too late. They've screwed up too many times. You know, she's this goddess. She's not going to put up with this. But I think they're evolving past that mindset. They're starting to realize the bond here. They're getting the signs and synchronicities. They're getting pummeled with all of this stuff. And I think they're going to have to go through some rapid stuff, some rapid experiences. And what did I just say? Energy surge, Eight of Wands. They're getting bombarded with this stuff. And this is about communication. So, you know, I think if some of you feel like you need to reset the connection, I would encourage you to do that. But again, don't chase them. Don't ask them to do something. Don't just reach out, no expectations, as a friend. You know you're okay. The energy's reset. Then continue to focus on you. Then at that point, I think, you know, when they're ready, they will come to you. But you can't expect them to come to you if you've closed the door and slammed the door on them energetically, in any other manner. So I'm getting that very strongly. Page of Wands is also a communication card, you guys. So definitely some of that needs to happen. If it hasn't been, I'm going to pull from him, let's see, the Angelic Revelation 144, Naked Flame, Healing Messages. This is the new deck that I debuted last reading. Let's see what message the masculine has for the feminine. What's this say? Oh my God, what did I just say? This totally came out earlier. If it didn't end well, you can't blame them if the feminines are an ego, right? Was I not saying that earlier? I need you to let go of your anger and stop blaming me for everything so that I'm able to come towards you. Please work on healing yourself and forgiving me. If you send me love, I will feel it and know that it's safe to reach out to you. My God, you guys, you can't make this shit up. There are 99 cards in this deck. Oh my God. I was just saying they're not going to come forward if you've cut them off energetically or otherwise. Like, you need to make that initial move, let them know they're safe, give them the space to heal. You heal yourself. Oh my God. I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say. I don't know what this video to run out. If it does, I'll share what the card is that I feel like there's one more card that Spirit wants me to pull for the partners. I'm going to pull Unicorn. Um, I'm just blown away by that. I can't believe that. God, wow. Nature. Ground yourself, find a sanctuary in nature, connect with the elementals. So that came out earlier in my energy update about needing to ground ourselves. Our bodies are trying to ground ourselves with all the light coming in. So it's really important, especially now here in Ohio, at least, it's going to be 60 degrees. Definitely get out in nature when you can. Connect with nature, maybe do more meditation. Um, just really just be still. I find when I actually sit down and be still and I'm just in solitude, that's when I really feel the energy of my twin come over me and wash over me. And it's just so beautiful. It's really hard to connect into that and tap into that. You can't force it. Um, but if you're on the go all the time and you're kind of blocking that out. So, um, I just think this is absolutely beautiful, you guys. This is showing how connected the energy is. This is showing that it's a time about communication. It's about balance. It's about evolving, growing, and mending these connections and looking at it from a higher perspective and being grateful for everything that's happened and understanding why. So I hope this was helpful for you guys. I look forward to it. I don't know if I'll be able to do one for the new moon. I'll keep you guys posted because I will be traveling and I'll post more about that too. It's really exciting. So we'll see. I will keep you guys updated and take care till next time. Bye.